morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to this episode of Hit Talks Live. And I am so pleased again to announce this episode where we have 8 amazing speakers speaking from 8 different perspectives from all over the world. Yes, that's 8 amazing speakers from 8 different perspectives, speaking for 8 minutes from all over the world. And we tend to have a little bit of a theme for every single Hit Talks. And the theme that we've started with today is about creativity and about weaving. And what we mean by that is when we actually want to be able to create, let's say, an opportunity, or we want to create a desire, or we want to create some sort of transformation in our lives, then when we actually look at it from a perspective of weaving the opportunities, weaving the hope, weaving the inspirational people, weaving the messages that we have, because creation is all about bringing together formation. And when we look at the word weaving, it's all about interweaving connections. It's all about interweaving relationships. And this is what Hit Talks is all about, because it's not just about bringing you hope, inspiration and transformation, but it's about bringing you people. It's about bringing a vortex of people together. And I'm super excited, as I usually am, to announce that the speakers that we have on this episode are, again, really, really, really transformational. The inspirational messages of hope and obviously of inspiration really comes from the heart. And when I actually connect with the speakers and I talk to them about Hit Talks, I know from my heart that the intention of every single person that's here as a speaker, their intention is to give. Their intention is to serve. Their intention is to help make a difference in somebody's life from perhaps their story, from perhaps what they've gone through. So every single episode, I like to start with somebody that we've had on Hit Talks many times before, and somebody that is an inspiration to many, somebody that is actually transformed his life after being in a coma, and somebody who has been part of Hit Talks since the beginning. So Rick Najera is, let's say, an elder as far as Hit Talks is concerned. So he's not just a Hollywood screenplay director, producer, comedian, author, and everything that he says on the bio. He's a very good friend of mine, a very good advocate of Hit Talks, and he loves to talk. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm now going to give Rick his 8 minutes. So thank you so much for being here, Rick, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
Yes. I love to talk, but I also love to listen. I always gain something more from the Hit Talks than I give, which is a very good thing. The speakers are always from around the world. And they all have different perspectives, and they're unique. When I look at the Hit Talks, being in America and working in Hollywood, we actually are seldom very international thinking. We kind of want the world to think like us, which I think is horrible. Personally, I love diversity. And I love complexity. And we talk about creativity, and that's what I was thinking about today, because I never make a plan of what I'm going to say. I've always made a deal with Vicky that this is truly from my heart. When it comes to creativity, being a writer, I have to respect creativity a lot. And a lot of times, the way I look at creativity is that small, still voice inside your head, the voice you listen to that speaks to you. It's almost like being a writer, you kind of consider yourself more of a scribe that I listen to a voice and I write it down. The greatest writing I have ever done, I did not feel I wrote. I just heard something and I wrote it down. A lot of times what we do is we hear a voice and that voice speaks to us, so we write that voice down. So most writers tend not to have a large ego. You know, it's seldom writers ever have a huge ego, because we don't feel it really comes from us. I can't say when I write something, I can't say, oh, that's me. I wrote that. Most likely I heard that. So we are a wire, a conduit for the universe and genius to go through us to the page. And that's all we do. So it's not like we've done something. It's not like I've manufactured something. We merely hear something and write it down. So that's why most good writers don't have an ego. Bad writers always have an ego. Huge ego. You meet a bad writer and they'll tell you, oh, I wrote this, it was great, I did this, I performed this, I did that. But the truth is, a good writer would never say those words. A good writer finds it as an accident. Accidents happen. Divine accidents happen. A lot of times when you plan to write, there's an old Jewish proverb that says this: man plans, God laughs. And that's very true. Some of the best writing I've ever done, I never planned it. I started writing something and all of a sudden something else happens. It's how people even look at humanity, how we understand how we talk. Here's the unique thing. I have my Mexican gardener outside with his lawnmower, happily working loudly. And he chose this one time to come here today to blow out my lawn. So I'm gonna have to deal with it. But I understand that that's part of life. That even have a lawn blower man behind me forces me to actually concentrate more, speak louder, and really stay on track. So that's a happy accident that forces me in a different direction. And with creativity, a lot of times you have to accept that these accidents will happen and embrace them. The best things you can embrace most of the time are failure. It's, you know, when you look at a lot of times when you write something, you may go, oh, it's horrible. This is horrible. It's not. It's actually still good. It's in there somewhere. It now forces you to look at a different way to approach the character, or forces you a different way to think about the plot. Because now something new's happened. Like when an actor acts, there's an old saying we say, you cry less, we'll cry more. In other words, the audience needs to feel a catharsis to care for a character that forces us to cry, because that character is not crying. That character is in crisis. That character is actually trying to overcome an obstacle, do something great with their life. That character is focused on their objective. They're not focused on how they feel or how people are looking at them, all those things. They're focused simply on their objective. It's like this: if a cat walks on stage, everyone immediately goes to the cat. Now, you may say, well, a cat is foreign to the stage. I go, no, they go to the cat for one reason. The cat is alive. The cat is breathing. The cat is real. It's the one real thing on that stage. When a cat walks on stage by mistake, everyone's eyes goes to the cat. The cat is human. The cat is alive. A lot of times in writing, it's the same thing. Bring out the best in you. Bring out the more of you. That's what I tell people when they talk about the creativity. Creativity is about being more of you. And if more of you is to make a mistake, or if more of you is to be frustrated, or if more of you is to feel certain things, then that is your truth. Be more of that. Now, when you take a script or whatever, there's always a rewrite. You can come back and change things and think about it and move this character and do those 1,000 things. But the first initial response is the genius. The first initial response is less of your ego and more of the creative word behind it. It's more of you listening to a voice, and listening forces you to do one thing: be patient. Listening is faith. Listening tells you that when Vicky turns to me and says, I want you to speak, and I think, well, I'm going to speak right now, and I have nothing prepared, I have to have actual faith to believe that I will say something, and that whatever I say will resonate with one person listening. Whether it's one person, 1,000 people, or 1,000,000 people, some resonation will happen because they are looking at truth. And truth always wins. Truth, life, all those things are who you are. So if the theme today was creativity, and that's what we're talking about, I have to say the creativity lives in you. And you will find the creativity if you listen. If you actually still your voice and listen and trust that that voice is going to come up with something very creative and unique, because you're telling your story. In the end, this is what we do. This is what we're experts on as writers and speakers and all that, is we're telling our own story. It's a story that we've been working on for years, a story that's been filled with complexity, uniqueness, dialogue, all that stuff is us. That's our story. So the one story that you know about on this earth is your own personal story. And once you get specific with your own story, it has a universal quality about it that everyone knows. Because I remember my father, who went to war, and he told me a story. He went to World War II, and he said, I remember being in the jungles in the World War II, and there was a tribe of natives who came, sat around the campfire with us all. And for that one night, we looked at each other and couldn't speak the language. But he said, I recognized my grandmother's voice in that one lady. And I recognized the laughter in another man. And I recognized the smile of my brother in another person. And in that night, he recognized the humanity that surrounded him. That's what creativity is. Recognizing, honoring, and telling your story. And telling the very particular story of who you are. And that story will resonate throughout the world. And I thank you, Vicky, for giving me this opportunity to speak on HIT Talks, hope, inspiration, and transformation. Thank you very much. Namaste.
You are welcome, Rick. Thank you so much. And Rick and I had a conversation earlier and we were talking about faith. And at that time, Rick didn't know that we were going to start the show talking about creativity, talking about trust, and talking about listening, because this is the vortex, this is the energy, and the more that we can have trust and the more that we can have faith. And I just want to say, because HIT Talks was created through trust and through faith, when I was given the download to bring together people from all over the world to share their stories, to share their messages, I was told it had to be 8 people for 8 minutes from 8 different perspectives and to broadcast at 8 p.m. And so I had to have faith and I had to have trust in really putting together the message that I had. And I'm so blessed that I had the confidence to have the faith and the trust to be able to follow that divine message, because we have this amazing platform. And then when we talk about amazing platforms, let's go on to even more amazing people. Because the next speaker, again, has been somebody who I've known for many years, who is, I do have to say, one of the most transformational people that I know. What he has been through, how amazing he is as far as a mother and a father is concerned, as far as, you know, bringing communities together, being a leader for people, being a mentor for people, running a business. That he just has this air of supportiveness, of really trying to transform people, as well as being a businessman, as well as being a banker, as well as being a keen sportsman. He's also my very good friend, Edward Tay. So please take your 8 minutes and welcome to HIT Talks.
Hello, Vicky. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show, and to everyone around the world. Now, for those who doesn't know me, when I first met Vicky, she said, Edward, would you want to come to my platform and talk about motivation and talks about, you know, faith? And I said, Edward, I'm not a motivational speaker, Vicky. That's a tall order. That's a lot of things to cover in 8 minutes. So I had to think it really hard what I wanted to talk in the 8 minutes. So I have 8 minutes. Now, let me tell you what I'm going to talk about today about 8 minutes. If there's something I can share to the world today about the 8 minutes, it's one thing that I feel taking away, doesn't matter whether you got a PhD, whether you have got your degree, you're a lecturer in the university, I will tell you this, all those things that we have, it's all meaningless, completely meaningless, if you don't have one thing I'm going to talk about. And what I'm going to talk about today is called mental hygiene. How many times have we focused so much in our life that whatever we do, we focus a lot about doing things for others and we forget about ourselves, right? We focus so much time on the physical hygiene, making ourselves looking good, going to the gym to build the muscles. I have been a mentor with so many of my students at the postgraduate school. Lots of them makes lots of money, but I've seen a lot of them do not have mental hygiene, and they are happy, but they are not fulfilled. And when I sit on the board of directors, I realized that I thought when I become a board of directors, 80% I'll be talking about supply chain management, accounting, strategic planning. And ironically, I end up talking 80% being their psychologists, because they talk to me more about their challenges that they have, their unhappiness that they have, rather than the actual business that we are mentioning. So therefore, unless I feel that it has helped me a lot, without your mental hygiene, nothing will happen. Nothing will change, right? As you know, in life, nothing changes until you are willing to change. It all starts from there. Bottom line is that, have you had depression before? Do you have anxiety? Do you have experienced anger? Do you have frustration? Do you have experienced distrust that someone that you love, someone that you care, that you felt has violated your standard of trust? And how do you handle that, right? So, and the way we do it is to build mental hygiene. Part of mental hygiene is having mental strength, mental muscles. So how do you build mental strength and mental muscles? We know a lot about physical muscle. We go to the gym and we lift the weights. But what do we do to build mental muscle? Let me share this with you. What is mental muscle is all about? You know, we call it a fancy word called reticular activating system that's proven by science that whatever you focus on, you become much more aware of it. Do you realize when the first time when you buy your car, whether it be a Mercedes-Benz, whether it be a Mazda, whether it be a Toyota, whether it be a Nissan, but all of a sudden, if you buy that particular car, Nissan, you suddenly realize there's a lot of Nissan around you all over, all of a sudden. They have always been there, except that you're not aware of it. So that is what neuroscience call it, reticular activated system, which means that it implies in your mind that you've got to be very conscious of everything of what you do, because if you don't, then all those negative thoughts will come inside. If there is no lights, there will be a lot of darkness. Only the light would basically overcome the darkness. And the way you do it is, I call it my 5 minutes ritual that you have to do every day to build your mental hygiene. Religious people may use religion. Every morning when you wake up, your morning will dictate the day, what your life is going to be. So my practice, I don't know whether it works for you, but it has worked a lot. In my case, that I've been practicing to build mental hygiene with mental strength. And the way I do it is, number one, you must spend time and believe in yourself. You must learn to take care of yourself, because if you don't, nothing works. Like I say, the 5-minute ritual, if you don't have 5 minutes for yourself every morning, you don't have a life. I'll be very frank with you. 5 minutes for yourself. So every morning, if you are a religious person, you go and pray to your God. If you're a philosopher, you go and pray to your Buddha, whatever it may be, that's good. Something that's affirmative, something that you feel good about yourself. Spend, the 5 minutes on that. And then the other 5 minutes you can include about gratitude. The things that you want to make yourself aware. What are the good things that's happening to you? Every day cannot be completely bad. There's something good about you that we take the good things that happen to us for granted, but we never focus on the good thing. We just focus on the bad thing. We always remember about the bad thing. So when you build mental muscle, you build your mental awareness about the good things that is surrounding you and not the bad things. And very soon you'll realize all the bad things is going to go away. Like the way when you see darkness, the only way you can overcome darkness is to build up your lights, because the lights will overpower the darkness. And ultimately, that darkness will automatically disappear. And that's how you have to build your mental strength, using mental hygiene. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate having the opportunity to share this very short 8 minutes about mental hygiene.
Thank you so much, Edward. Yes, mental hygiene, crikey. I don't think I've heard it shared like that before, but bring it into perspective. We all need to change, don't we? And when we do change, then we transform. And what we're here for, we're here to actually have some hope. We're here to listen to some inspiration, and we're here to transform. And believing in ourselves, having gratitude, absolutely divinely connected. So thank you so much for that, Edward. And again, when we talk about gratitude, it's bringing together the people that are coming onto this Hit Talks platform, because this next lady, the gratitude that I have for the previous speakers that have been onto Hit Talks, because it is a concept. Previous speakers are coming onto Hit Talks and they're saying to me, Vicky, there's this person that you would love to be able to be on the platform. this person's so inspirational that they got these messages. And this is what happens. It's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect of us all trying to change, as Edward said. It's a ripple effect of transforming throughout the world. And Louise was introduced to me, and then instantly when we spoke, it was, you know, we can talk about her bio in business schools and everything that she's done in the media and her banking background. But as soon as we met, there was an instant connection of us both knowing that the more we can come together collectively and collaboratively, the more that we can come together to actually help change and growth, which it says in her bio, which is what Edward spoke about, the more that we can do that together, the more that we can actually help with hope, inspiration and transformation in the world. So it is all just magic, it's all just aligned. And all the way from South Africa, Louise, I would like to welcome you to your first episode of Hit Talks. I know you've watched many, but I now give you your 8 minutes, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Vicky, for inviting me to speak. What a privilege. And yeah, to the two amazing speakers beforehand, there isn't much in what you said that really didn't resonate. I absolutely loved it. It's a real privilege and a delight to share this virtual space with all of you. And I love the topic of creativity and weaving, which I often think of as the interconnectedness of all things, because of course we are all connected and everything is energy. And yeah, it's definitely a favorite topic. So thank you so much. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I believe that we all need right now. And this is how to get creative, how to trust your intuition and tap into that amazing collective wisdom that exists around us to find our way forward during this extraordinary time. When I was thinking about this topic, I couldn't help but put things into the context of where we all find ourselves today. And this is without doubt the most extraordinary year in all of our lifetimes, if only for the reason that wherever we are in the world and whatever our circumstances, we're doing this pandemic at the same time together. And if we think about it, we've all been through quite a lot in a really short period of time. When COVID first hit, we had to get really practical and tactical and transactional with each other. We pulled our lives and our businesses apart, and we put them back together again, eliminating all that was kind of superfluous to our needs. And the last 6 months have been very much about managing waves of a crisis, which continues. It's probably not going to end here, and certainly it's changed our lives forever in some way, shape, or form. And we've been thinking our way out of our problems or the issues that we're facing or the practicalities that we need to deal with. There's been very little room for curiosity or intuition or dreaming or big picture thinking or longer term vision, simply because we're not entirely sure what's around the corner. So just looking at this idea of tapping into creativity, deepest intuition, getting innovative, I think it's so important right now simply because we're smack bang in the middle of what's known as a wicked environment, dealing with wicked problems. And I don't mean wicked as in cool or amazing. Rather, I mean we're facing the most challenging and complex issues of our times. But before I get into how we do this, I'd like to share a little story with you. About 2 months ago, I went for a walk on a Saturday morning, usual sort of new ordinary Saturday morning, got home, made a pot of tea and sat down and suddenly had one of those extraordinary aha moments that Rick was talking about. And it was one of those moments where the way forward was revealed to me almost in technicolor. And just to give you a little bit of background, in the months before that, I've been grappling with trying to pivot a part of my business, which had just disappeared when COVID hit. And I knew the solution was right at my fingertips, but I couldn't quite get it. And actually, the more I thought about it, the more stressed I became, which really wasn't helping the situation at all. And if I look back at that time, today I have no memory of the aha moment or how much time had passed. But the next thing I knew, I was putting together a brand new business offering. And by the Monday morning, I'd actually launched it, which was quite extraordinary. It was that moment of pure clarity, the kinds of moments that we really long for when we're in a bind or we're stuck and we don't entirely know what to do next. And I'd been feeling that way for quite a few months. So when I was thinking about talking to you today, I was thinking about what had actually happened during that time. And I realized that there were three key things that had paved the way for that beautiful moment. And I thought I'd share them with you, because if you're also grappling with finding a better, smarter way forward, then these three things are definitely worth doing. The first definitely won't come as a surprise to you. You've heard all of this before. It's very simple. Get some sleep, eat well, get some exercise, get the sun on your face, spend some time really connecting to people you actually care about, and switch the telly off, get off social and digital media, and definitely don't get dragged into other people's stories or dramas. In other words, take good care of all of you, and think of this as almost creating the fertile environment for ideas to land and grow. The second is to get really curious about absolutely everything without judgment or a conclusion. And what I mean by that is get very comfortable with ambiguity, not knowing the answers to things just yet. So really that's all about opening your mind to what's going on around you, and constantly ask yourself why something or someone is doing or saying whatever they're up to. And leave it as an open-ended question. In other words, chuck it out into the ether and just leave it there and see what arrives as an answer a little time later. I personally like to sleep on things when I'm grappling with something really tricky and I'm not entirely sure about what to do. I definitely sleep on things, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 sleeps, and in this case, it took a few months. And the third element is probably the most important element in my view, and that is to talk to people outside of your usual networks. There's been loads and loads of research and endless studies about how the very best ideas, the aha moments, all come from left field. They don't come from our friends, our family, our colleagues, our boss, our deep industry experts. The reality is that if they did, we would have picked up on those ideas and we would have put them into action already. They almost always invariably come from the least expected place. And they come in a form that we would never have dreamed of ourselves. And they absolutely would never happen unless we're tapping into the diversity that exists in people that are outside of our normal networks. So what we're actually doing is tapping into this vast sea of collective intelligence, collective wisdom, collective consciousness, which is available to all of us if we're just open to receiving it. So 3 very simple things. Take really good care of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, mindfully, and this will give you the most fertile environment for new ideas to land and to grow. The second, of course, be childlike in your curiosity and get really comfortable with ambiguity, and definitely don't judge. Leave it as an open inquiry. And the third is talk to diverse people outside of your usual circles. Tap into that beautiful collective wisdom. That's where the best ideas come from. And this is how we start trusting our intuition, and we're able to get really creative and innovative. So if I leave you with one thought today, and that is very simply that if the COVID months have taught us anything, it's about liberating ourselves from who we thought we should be. So the careers we thought we should have, the ladders we thought we should climb, the products, services, or offerings that we thought we should deliver into markets that we thought were unshakable. The reality is that right now there is this beautiful opportunity. The future is wide open to us, and it's just up to us to create it. The question is, what do we want it to be like? Thanks, Vicky, and I really appreciate this opportunity. Over to you.
Thank you, my love, and yeah, sleep on it. But opportunities, and we always say there's one person, one deal, or one opportunity that can create something in your life, create something in collective consciousness, but it's being open and available for those opportunities. And when you speak about people outside of your diverse network, I was just nodding and nodding and nodding. And I just want to bring it back to the creation of Hit Talks, because the creation of Hit Talks was all about not just having the people on the show that Vicky Thomas knows, not just having my connections onto the show. It was about a diverse network. And this is the thing, that there is people that is recommending other people that are recommending other people, which is now starting a concept, it's starting a wave, it's starting a tribe, and from the connections, because it's going outside your diverse network. And then there's more opportunities for every single person to be able to share their story, share their message, and share their love. And that's where we're able to make things happen. So thank you so much for being able to share that with us. And before we actually go on to the next speaker, I'd like you, Jane, to bring the bio up, because I want to speak about the bio for our next speaker and really bring together our personal story about it, because Derek is a leadership coach, but he's more than this. Because again, when I actually met Derek, he was through a connection of Kyle, who's just jumped into this episode, from who spoke on the previous episode. And I met him, and again, it was just about the love. It was about him being actively involved in trying to spread hope, inspiration, and transformation around the world. And we all do that in our own way. And he had such a contagious smile and such a big heart of really wanting to, say, spread love and spread vision and spread inspiration throughout the world, that it was, yes, Derek, you really do need to be part of Hit Talk. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to have your 8 minutes, Derek. Love you so much, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Vicky, and love you too. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be with you. What if I were to tell you that every single thing that you want, everything that you desire, everything that you hope for is right at your grasp? That's right, everything. And this was something that I learned. Let me give you a little background on me. I grew up as the oldest child of a single mother in Detroit, Michigan. I went on from being a city boy to going on and traveling the world in the Navy, and then becoming a consultant after my release from the military, and have traveled the world since then. And when I look back at my life, I can actually find the pivot points where things began to turn around for me. And that was when I discovered the law of attraction. Now, we've all discovered the law of attraction. We know what the law of attraction is, that if you think about something and you put that energy in the universe, that you can expect it to come to pass. Well, I'm here to tell you today that I've discovered the secret to the secret. Here you go. We're talking about creativity today. And I'd like to think about this, that if there is a God, then I believe that this God must be love. This God has to be, because just of the complexity and the beauty of humanity, I can't understand why God would be anything else. So if God stepped out of eternity into the void of nothing to speak something and create everything, God only had one raw material at her disposal, and that was love, because God is love. So that means that everything that we know of, whether it be spiritual, whether it be emotional, or whether it even be physical, that it is made of love. And this is the thing, love changes everything. I believe, and this is my hopeful moment, that I believe that love can actually terraform this natural realm for spiritual occupation. That's one thing. But I'm just like this. If you look at love, love is the thing that everything is made of. That means you are made of love. You're not just expected to love people. No, we need to be awakened to the truth that love is who we are. Love is our nature. Love is our being. And when I talk about love, I'm not talking about touchy-feely, kumbaya kind of love. No, I'm talking about some real and practical things. I'm talking about empathy. I'm talking about compassion. and I'm talking about joy. Empathy just simply says, I want to see it through your eyes. I want to take a walk in your footsteps. I want to experience as much as I can of what you go through. Because if you say that you love and you have no empathy, you're lying. Second thing is compassion. Compassion is that thing that says, I care. I'm really concerned. I'm not just paying lip service to what I've seen you go through empathy, but I'm actually embracing it. And I'm embracing you because I want you to know that you're loved, that you're valued. And the third thing, and I just added this because I've been teaching this with just empathy and compassion for the last 3 years, but just for Hit Talks, I've added this one more, and that's joy. Now, one of the things that people get confused with is they conflate joy with happiness. And happiness is conditional. Happiness depends on whether you have money in the bank, whether you and your spouse are getting along, whether your children are behaving, all of these things. That is happiness. And happiness is very conditional. Joy, on the other hand, is something else. It's something that's in your spirit that says that even though the worst adversity faces me, that I have something that is overcoming for that. That I have something overcoming, and I believe that joy is greater than happiness. And so these are what I call the fruit of love. And if you want to know whether someone is walking in love or not, you check the empathy, you check the compassion, and you check the joy, and you'll find whether or not this person is fully awakened to love or not. And here's the thing, love transforms everything. It transforms business, it transforms government, it transforms communities, it transforms everything. Wherever you plug love in, love will work. Love is like the grand antidote to everything that's wrong with the world. But if we take love and say business, that if I love my product, if I love my service, and most of all, I love my customer, if I love them, and not just that vain, conceited love, kumbaya kind of thing, no, empathy, the compassion, and the joy. Do you love what you've made? Do you love what you do? Do you love who you serve? And are you concerned about them? Now, I'm going to give you something extra for free, and it's this, that if you really want to succeed in business or in any area of life, that if you are successful in making other people feel better about, you thought I was going to say you. No, if you make them feel better about themselves because of their proximity to you, that is a game changer. So what we want to do is we want to do things in love that makes people feel better about themselves, that they are edified because of their proximity to us. And all of this happens to work in the fabric of creation because love is so powerful. If you think about this, in the beginning, God created everything and all she had was herself to create from, then that means that this love has to be created, that it's giving. What I was saying is that what you, let me just say this, so I'll wrap it up because I may have scorched my time a little bit, but it's this, that the secret to the secret is love. And that means it's not just sowing good thoughts, but it's whatever you project, that's what you can expect. Because you put something into the field of love, you've put energy out there, that changes your existence from particle to wave. And that being said, may you be happy, may you be well, and may you be full of peace. Namaste.
Thank you for sharing your passion. And this is the thing, consciousness, isn't it? The more that we can actually help and support other people, go out of our way to actually help others and not ask for anything in return. And just spread the love, spread the message, and see, there's so many people throughout the world that have love and joy inside of them, but they just need a little bit of embrace. They just need a little bit of weaving, for instance, to actually help them bring out the love and joy into the world. And this is, as we talk about weaving, and we talk about forming, and we talk about creation, and we talk about moving through timelines, this takes me on to the next speaker, because she really has moved through timelines from what she's actually moved through. So you can see in her bio that she has been through huge amounts. She'll share her story, but she's been through a huge amount of trauma within her life. But when you speak to her, she's one of the most positive people that I've come across. And we've only had brief conversations. Again, Marie-Christine was recommended by a previous speaker, saying she's got such a big story to share. And, you know, she speaks 5 languages, and you think, oh my gosh, you know, she's able to share her message so far and wide. But she has a love for the next generation. She has a love for really supporting women. And she has a love of spreading hope and inspiration and transformation into everybody out there. So a perfect platform for you, Marie-Christine. Thank you so much for being here, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you and to hear many people speaking into my life, really. I feel privileged to be here. Thank you. I'd love to share what I've learned and from what I've heard from Rick and Derek. Talked about creativity, talked about love, we talked about empathy and compassion. You are speaking into my life, and I'm really grateful. Thank you. And everyone who has spoken, Edward and Vicky, you are amazing. So every morning when I wake up, I ask myself, who am I and why am I here? And that started in 1994, when the genocide happened in my country. And I found myself losing everything and had to cross 4 countries on foot, with my daughter on my back, no luggage, no pass, nothing. I was hopeless. In this HIT talks, you are talking about hope. Where do you get hope? How do you seek hope? There was a time of hopelessness when you had to move, stepping on the dead bodies of your loved ones. When you are moving, crossing countries, going, just not knowing which direction you are going to, north to south, east or west. The days didn't matter. It was hard. It was hard. When you had a status and you got a lowest status you can ever imagine, you become a refugee in a land you don't know. You are despised, rebuked, abused in many ways. It's okay for an adult, but to see your child suffering of hunger and starvation, when you don't have any food, when you don't know what to do, dying of malaria and there is no medical treatment. They're not allowed to be in that land, knocking at a neighbor's house, or someone's house. It is a risk. It happened. But Rick talked about creativity. Do you know there is a creativity even in that storms? In those storms, even in the pandemic like COVID-19, in the genocide? It is. You wonder, am I going to survive? Am I going to give up? Die here? Some people gave up. You can run 3, 4 days, 5 days, months, you give up. You were abused in many ways, you give up. They died on the way. But I thought, how about my daughter? Am I going to allow her to die here? To leave her here in a foreign land where there is no auntie, nobody? Or am I going to carry on? I don't know where the strength would come up. Because resilience. She was the strength of my resilience. I moved. I went to beg at the Red Cross in an office in the 4th country I reached them. To beg, arrived there, I heard they are advertising for a job. I applied for a job, and no one would recognize my skills because of how I was looking. I was dirty, depressed, unwelcomed. But I got it at the end. I sold myself even when I did not look like I had what I had. I spoke out. I dared to. I impressed people because I made a voice. When you don't have a voice, you try. Some people say refugees, they don't have a voice. They have voices, but they don't have platforms. So I made it. I was able to be helped, but then I did not have papers to allow me to work there. After some time, I had to cross countries again and traveled, went to the UK legally, applied for asylum, not easy, in a country where you don't speak the language, where you don't have any friends, anybody to give you direction. Started life all over again with a child, nothing, no friends, no relative, no toy, nothing. Starting life all over again. But desperation also give birth to creativity. Thanks, Rick, for what you shared. It was during that desperation. I thought, how am I going to live in Kensington, in London, a place where I didn't even, in a street where I didn't see refugees? Knocking at a neighbor's house, it's a crime. A group, you need to have a membership card. But there is a place where I ended up, where I was welcomed, a church, any faith group, any religion. The denominator of every religion is love your neighbor. So I was able to go to a church, expecting to have someone to show me love. I needed someone to listen to me. It's very needed. When you see refugees, please, I'm sure many people want to give them clothes quickly, old clothes, but most importantly, they need to be listened to. Such kind of trauma, of what I faced before on my way and the arrival in that foreign land was very hard. My daughter was late for school for years. I could have lost hope. But Rick, you talked about hearing a voice. Also, Derek, there is a voice. For me, it's a voice of God. And I'm proud to say that. I had a voice that I should not lose hope. I did. And I had a dream. It created hope in me when I saw my daughter in a dream entering a school called Rodin, one of the best schools in the country. When I was a refugee and I was not even speaking English, I didn't know what it was, but at the end, she went there. She was head girl. She ended up in Oxford University. That child who was late for school, who crossed the country, 4 countries on foot, no food, who was dying. Now she's did artificial intelligence at Oxford University. There is hope. You can never lose hope. Please, not only for yourself, but don't despise people because of what they are going through. Give them love, give them hope. You never know what they would become. Now I've become a refugee advocate. I help them. I did trainings to help them. I'm a trauma counselor. Everything I went through, I comfort them with the comfort myself I have received. It's my joy. Now I'm starting a business in Switzerland to help them in their creativity, whatever they create, whatever they make, to sell their products. It happens, it is happening. Doors are being opened, but just because I listen, I heard the voice of God. Edward mentioned about mental hygiene. For me, it's a spiritual hygiene. Spiritual hygiene is knowing who you are and whose you are. I knew I was born such time as this, and my quote is, I suffered, I strived to survive, but now I thrive and live to make a difference in my generation and for the next generation. Who am I and why am I here? I'm here to spread the love I have encountered, to spread the hope to the hopeless. And I believe, like Mahatma Gandhi said, to be the change I want to see. I want to see peace around me. I want to see people loving each other. As you mentioned, Derek, that's the key to life. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to having more fellowship with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie-Christine. Be the change that you want to be. It's all coming together. And I think many of us are lost for words, because this is the whole platform's idea, is to spread this hope, this inspiration, and this transformation. And you're just a beautiful being that is on this earth to do that. And I know every single person that is here as a guest, every single person watching the replay, and the speakers, we're all here for the same reason. We are here to spread hope, to spread inspiration, to transformation, change. So it's amazing that we found you, and I know that there's some amazing things that you're doing in the world, and we all are going to make sure that messages are spread far and wide, far and wide. So thank you so much for that. And in the background, I don't know if any of you saw, but I disappeared out of the room because of my internet connection here in Egypt. And I was there thinking, be the change, be the change. Let's bring in some creation. Let's weave some extra internet into Egypt here, so I can actually come back on and announce the next speaker, because I haven't actually seen this gorgeous lady's face in person for, let's say, about 5 years. So we met in Fiji when Jen was facilitating for a Tony Robbins event, and I absolutely love the way that she's transformed, the way that she's transformed herself and the people that she's with from following her story. I love the way that she does it with horses. I've got 2 little Shetland ponies called Milky Way and Coca-Cola. They're not as gorgeous as your horses, Jen, but I absolutely are so, I absolutely, what I'm trying to say is that I feel so deeply how animals, and how you can bring in the love and the joy of animals and all the empathy of animals into helping us as humans transform. So Jen, thank you so much for being with us. I know we haven't had chance to actually chat before this episode, but I know that you have so much hope, so much inspiration, and you really, really have transformed not just yourself, but many, many others, including the horses. So I now give you your 8 minutes, my love, to share.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Like, so far, this has been like really mind blowing. I wasn't sure what to expect coming on. It has been a long time. And I have Tony Robbins' doppelganger here. This is Dante. He is what we jokingly, but pretty effusively call my 1,200-pound Tony Robbins. He's one of the horses that we use in our program. And then his sidekick, where is she? There's Bella. Another one of the horses that we work with. And I hesitate to say that your Shetlands aren't as beautiful as my horses, because we all are beautiful. We all have something of beauty to share, and and I just thank you so much for the compliment. But all of these horses are rescues, and that's like the big piece. And God, Maria, your story, there's no way I could, everyone has had, a piece of life handed to them in one way, shape, or form. And, mine was in the form of a Facebook message from a strange woman about my husband. Ha! Yeah, not exactly what you want to wake up to in the morning, right? But she told me, actually what you might be thinking would have been easier, but she actually told me that she asked me what my husband was doing with money is something I might want to look into. And it was how I was paying to get to Fiji and all these different things. So I looked into it, and sure enough, he was doing some pretty unsavory things with money as a financial advisor. And he ended up going to federal penitentiary. He was like a little Bernie Madoff. And so my life, and in a very, very different, you do talk about different perspectives, and a very different perspective was totally flipped upside down. I mean, we weren't, we had the life. We weren't in a shortage of anything. I had whatever I wanted, whenever, it was misery, and it was a total house of cards. It was a total lie. And it was not built upon, giving to others or doing anything for other people. It was about what, you could take from someone. And I learned some really valuable lessons from that, and how to get creative, and that's what I love about this, because when you have, if you were to have anybody here, everybody knows Tony Robbins, right? So if you have a conversation with Tony Robbins, what would you be doing? If you said, okay, this time next month you have a conversation with Tony Robbins, you'd be preparing, right? Well, that's what, I had to do when I work with horses like this. Like, they live in the moment. They are, you know, he's here because, you know, he wants to hang out with me and I have a cookie. And so I could have him share him with you guys. But it's about how you can continue to, no matter what life throws at you, because like what Marie shared and what Derek has shared and what everyone on this call so far has really shared, like, is that it's not, as Darwin says, it's not the strongest that survived, it's the most adaptable. And so to all of a sudden find out you have nothing, and now I'm at 40, and I did everything I should. I went to college, took me 6 years and 5 schools and tens of thousands of dollars for a piece of paper I didn't know what I was going to do with. I got married. I did the stuff. I did everything I was supposed to do, and then being adaptable, and then going, oh my God, now I'm living with my former personal assistant and I'm waitressing at 40. Aren't you proud, mom and dad? So, and then they thought I was nuts because I was like, I didn't want to take that 6-figure job at Disney because it would say Disney instead of Zynergen on my shirt. And I could visualize myself out in the asphalt parking lot in my little Mini Cooper going in, and I was going to be working with exotics and doing cool stuff and having benefits and security. And aren't we all need security, especially this day? But I'm like, no, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to do, because when you limit to here you go. When you limit yourself to what you should do, you prevent what you could. And that's what I discovered. When you limit yourself to what you should be doing, you absolutely prevent yourself from what could be possible, what you could achieve, who you could support, who you could give to, what you could help. In the rodeo world, the 8s that are important in the rodeo world are 8 seconds to stay on the horse, right? But another 8 that's really huge is 80,000. And that's the number of horses that are sent to slaughter every year in this country. 80,000, that is the population of Albany, New York, gets shipped out of this country. And that's not okay with me, because I look at this horse who I've had for 15 years. And like you said, he's gorgeous. And we tend to judge them based on the value that they have for what they can do physically, whether they can run fast or jump high. I have a horse in my barn that was won more than $500,000, won more money than Seabiscuit at the track, and then they cast him aside. So where are you judging yourself based on someone else's value system? Where are you looking at yourself, and what Marie said so beautifully, as to who you think you should be, rather than digging deep into who you could be? And when you wake up in the morning and you ask yourself, am I living the life that I could, or am I living the life that I should? What's your answer? And the truth is that you must listen to the belief that is within you. And in all of my videos, believe in yourself, it will change your life, because all of our behaviors are based on our values and our beliefs. Every single thing that we do. And we tend to judge other people's intentions based on their behavior, while we judge our behaviors based on our intentions. I'll say that again. We tend to judge other people's intentions based on their behaviors, but we judge our behaviors based on our intentions, right? And so what do you do when you wake up and you find yourself crossing 4 countries barefoot and being judged by others? When you find yourself, experiencing trauma in one way, shape, or form? What really resonated with me and how I started these programs of saving horses and changing lives came down to when I went to a Tony Robbins experience, and I said, oh my God, what he's doing with people, I'm doing with horses. I got to bring these 2 worlds together. And so I did. And after leaving my husband and going through a very dark time, losing my brother to a drug overdose, being alienated by my family, having panic attacks, and have stacked a long list of stuff. But the truth is that you need to believe in who you are. What do you represent? What do you want to give to the world? I want to give these beautiful animals a chance to prove the value that they have, because I believe that everyone deserves to have a life-changing experience with a horse that maintains the dignity of the animal. I did. My horses changed my life. And Vicki, if you've got little Shetlands and you go out there and you touch them and play with them and engage with them, because let's face it, y'all, our civilizations were built on the backs of horses. They fought our wars. They carried our families. They plowed our fields. My purpose: to save horses and change lives. To give everyone an opportunity. Everyone, inner city kids, people, corporations, people that don't put their feet in the grass ever. I believe everyone deserves to have a life-changing experience with a horse that maintains the dignity of the animal, because it is about them and the connection with them. And this is because of the horses, because they're prey animals and we're predators and all this, the connection with them. It's not like your dog or your goldfish or your cat or your fern. There's something about the spirit of these animals that gave me strength, that gave me courage, and allowed me to understand how to listen for healing, and to listen with empathy, and to have compassion and connect the human spirit with the horse through that, and to help people find their purpose. Lao Tzu makes a really interesting quote about courage and connection and compassion. And he says, being loved deeply by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. And connection and the purpose of saving these horses and changing lives. I mean, find your purpose, y'all. They don't call it horsepower for nothing, right? Vicki, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate all the speakers. I'm very grateful. And thank you for the opportunity. It's been an amazing experience.
Thank you, my love. Horsepower, yes. We don't call it horsepower for any other reason. And I promise that I will spend more time with my Shetland ponies. But when you go back and you think about it, and you think about the love and the loyalty of animals, that they are there to, they just have this persona around them that they're there to just love you. They don't judge you. And if we could come back as an animal, I know Jen would come back as a horse, and it's one of those animals that I would actually come back as well. You know, horses have been in my life for many, many years, and I absolutely love them dearly. But as I say, they have got this sense of strength around them. They have this sense of courage around them. And then if we can actually just take a little bit of that hope, a little bit of that inspiration out of this horse, of the courage, of the love, and of the loyalty, and bring that into our field to actually help us transform, then I know that we're able to create, and we're able to weave, and we're able to interconnect, which is what we're here to share today and tonight, or this evening, this afternoon, whatever time of the day it is. Then we're able to share, we're able to weave, and we're able to connect this courage, this non-judgment, and this transformation. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jen, and for the horses as well, for being here as well. What a beautiful backdrop. That is the first time at Hit Talks that we've actually had beautiful horses in the background. So let's just see what we're going to have in some other of the episodes. So let's go on to our next speaker, who's all the way in Melbourne, Australia, who is from Shanghai in China. So we are global here at Hit Talks. We do travel the world. And I met Esther, and I really liked her story because, you know, we can talk about her being a motivational speaker, but when I actually got to speak to Esther, you know, she came over as very, very poised, and you could see that she really wanted to impress. She really wanted to really bring together, what her journey has been, and bring together that story to a platform. And the more I got to know Esther, and the more I actually saw her soul, she really has got a great gift in life. And what I loved about it is that the story of, I don't know if she's going to share this, but the story of her giving koalas to strangers when she was on her travels, that is where I saw her soul. So if you're not going to be sharing that, Esther, I'd like you to share a little bit about that, even if you're not going to, because that is truly an inspirational story, and that is what puts hope into the world. That is really what helps people be inspired, and that is really what helps people transform. So Esther, all the way from Melbourne in Australia, I'd like to give you 8 minutes, my love.
Thank you, Nikki. And first of all, just to satisfy Nikki's desire about my koala story. So what it is at that time, I think it's 2018, when I was in a very deep anxiety and also feeling very depressed. And I decided to go on a trip by myself to Japan. and I decided to bring 36 koalas with me to give to every people who I don't know. They are strangers along the way who has helped me and who has supported me along the way. And I want to say, because of the kindness from those strangers, because of the beautiful connections from them, they finally recharged my empty tank. And after that profound trip, and I will actually can manage to get out of my anxiety and depression. So tonight, I'm going to share with you another profound experience in my life. It is a story, also another story about creating and weaving in honor of a special friend of mine, and her name is Shoshana. Shoshana was born and growing up in Israel, and she was the most talented and well-known composer and pianist in the United States, known for her healing music. It was January 2018. I first met her at a cancer hospital in Mexico. After dinner, I went to the nurse station to receive my injection, and I saw her. Shoshana was the only patient there in her wheelchair. Wearing a long, elegant blue dress, she looked so pale, and her eyes were shut. Occasionally, the cough would wake her up with tears raining down her face. I walked towards her, kneeling on the ground. I held her in my left arm. Slowly, she turned her head towards me and leaned against on my shoulder, just like a little child leaning on her mother's shoulder. And I held her more tightly, and we both cried until the treatment was finished. Esther, one day you will heal many people with your love. You are more than an engineer. These were the last words from Shoshana. 8 months later, I left my engineering career of 15 years. In the back of my mind, I've been always thinking why her short appearance in my life has made such a big impact. I couldn't explain the special connection I felt with her, so I decided to travel down to her roots, Israel, searching for the answer. And this is when the magic started happening. On the day of my departure, literally, I received a text message from Carrie, Shoshana's companion in Mexico, 18 months since she last contacted me with the sad news. Oh, Esther, do you know Shoshana was actually buried in Israel? Wow. Since her passing away, visiting Shoshana's graveyard has been one of my wishes. And now my dream is going to come true. Carrie sent me the contact details of Sheldon, Shoshana's lawyer in the United States. I texted Sheldon before my plane took off, but I didn't hear back from him until a few days later. I moved into an apartment in Jerusalem near Mount of Olives. Finally, Sheldon texted me. Esther, Shoshana was buried on Mount of Olives last year. Where are you now? And I'm going to get Josh to take you there. Mount of Olives. I was stunned. The next morning, Josh and I were standing in front of Shoshana's graveyard on Mount of Olives. All the memories came alive again that night. Her words. I sat on the ground, leaning against her grave. Just like that night, she was leaning against on my shoulder. I played her music over and over again. I couldn't help my tears, and I was so sad. But deep inside, I was so grateful that she came to my life and has guided me all the way here. After a while, I asked Josh to translate the scripts carved on Shoshana's gravestone. And he started. Shoshana Sarah, a beautiful soul. Her music has healed many people. Then Josh stopped and looked at me. And then he continued. Shoshana Sarah was buried on the day of Purim 2018. Purim is a Jewish holiday that commemorates Persian Queen Esther for saving her Jewish people. And the name of Shoshana comes from the word Susa. And Susa was the capital city of Persia when Esther was the queen. I couldn't believe all I've just heard. And I came all the way searching for the answer, and it is all written in that scripts. I always know that my connection with Shoshana is eternal. Shoshana has healed many people with her gift of music. And now I'm going to continue on the same mission with my gift of my voice. Over the past 4 years, I've been really grateful. There's so many people coming to my life to help me co-create and weaving my life and my magic future. And tonight I have a special friend who I have known her for 20 years. We always synchronize at the same page. She's always there supporting me, as well as many other friends. Also including the biggest creator, the universe, or the God. And I was a mechanical engineer before, and I never thought I can be creative. But I know now I have that power of creating, because creation for me is just creating the new reality. And my 8 minutes is up, and back to you, Vicky, and thank you for the opportunity.
You are more than welcome, my love, and thank you so much for your storytelling. And I just want to share with the guest and the viewers here as well, is when Esther first shared that story with me, and we spoke a lot more into how she followed her guidance to take this journey, and how it's pretty scary and pretty fearful of everything that you have around you, and then you are then just going to let go. Because, you know, from a corporate career, from, you know, earning the money for the family and being in engineering, to actually then decide, I am going to take a different journey. I am going to transform, and the strength and the courage to be able to do that. So because she followed her guidance, because she actually weaved through the synchronicities that were given to her, then she was able to find her answers, which is then able to help her transform into her new journey. So thank you for sharing that with us, Esther. And I know that your journey is a very prosperous one, and we do wish you all the very best. And thank you so much for being on Hit Talks. Yeah, it's hope, it's inspiration, and it's transformation. And that's the thing. And then when we're able to share our journey and we're able to share our messages, then collectively we're able to weave through, we're able to connect through all of these creative, I'm just reading there, they're saying creative genie, the creator. I love that. So we're able to create what we desire. We'll also be able to create what others desires, because if you give others what they desire, then you will then receive what you desire. And that is the thing. give people what they want. And this is what Hit Talks is about. We want to give you the platform. We want to be able to give you the platform to be able to speak, to be able to share your messages of hope, inspiration, and transformation.
Wow, what an amazing episode. So we broadcasted live from Egypt. We had South Africa, we had Melbourne, Australia, we had Orlando, we had Arizona, we had a couple of people from LA, we had the United Kingdom, we had Switzerland, and we had so much hope. We had so much inspiration, and we had so many transformational messages being shared at this episode at Hit Talks. So I would like to thank every single person from the bottom of my heart. I would like to also thank you, the viewers, and I would also like to send you so much hope, so much inspiration, and so much transformation. And I look forward to seeing you at the next episode.